Hi. Thank you everyone for being here. I am Alexander Ferrando, the director of Kurimanzutto here in New York. It's a pleasure to welcome you all for this latest Future Dialogues conversation with Mónica de la Torre and Daniel Guzmán. Future Dialogues is an artist-led conversation series that is graciously supported by Casa Dragones Tequila and Inter. I'd like to give a special thank you to Casa Dragones for making this possible. And following the talk at about 6 o'clock, they will be serving drinks, which I encourage you all to join us for. And now it is an honor to introduce our speakers. Mónica de la Torre is the author of 6 books of poetry, of which the most recent, Repetition 19, centers on experimental translation. Other collections include The Happy End, All Welcome, A Riff on Kafka's America, and Public Domain. She's published several books in Mexico, written with the eponymous artist collective she co-founded. She writes about art and has translated works primarily from Spanish. Recent art writing focuses on Cecilia Vicuña's Palabrama series, Felix González Torres' photostats, and Ulysses Carrion's bookworks. She also has co-edited several anthologies, most recently Women in Concrete Poetry. She teaches at Brooklyn College. Daniel Guzmán is a voracious consumer of culture. Guzmán has developed an encyclopedic reservoir of visual references that he draws from to make his idiosyncratic works. From rock music to art history to pre-Hispanic iconography, Guzmán's sweeping yet refined lexicon interprets his impressions and experiences in the world onto paper. His work is currently on view at the exhibitions Artists Who Make Zines at the Brooklyn Museum through March 31st, and his work has also been the subject of solo exhibitions at institutions that include New Museum, Drawing Room London, and Museo Cabañas in Guadalajara, Mexico, where he lives and works. He's also been included in group exhibitions at museums such as Museo Jumex, MCA Denver, the Bass Museum in Miami Beach, and the MCA Chicago. And now, I turn it over to Daniel and Mónica. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really, really, really good to be here with Daniel in particular, and all of you, and Mónica and Jose, because Daniel and I met at least 25 years ago.
Oh, yes.
25 years ago when Daniel was an artist in the International Studio Program down in Tribeca. I think there's images of that studio here.
Yeah.
Yes. So if something looks like it's in Tribeca, it is, actually. That's the studio where he was. So we've had a dialogue on and off, uninterrupted, for all these years. And here we are.
Here we are.
And amongst that, in between the dialogue, many things have happened.
Yes.
Many parties, many conversations, many publications, many exhibitions. Let's begin.
Just begin.
Let's begin. Okay. So Daniel, one of the things that, of course, I'm very interested in general, in your work, is your interest in language and publications and literature. So in this particular exhibition, what we see is the 4th chapter of a project called The Man Who Should Be Dead. It's a series of exhibitions, and every exhibition has been conceived as a chapter of this. Would you call it a novel, or?
I know. In general, I say a novel or a history or something like that. I don't think they put a label on the work I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, exactly. It could be a short novel, a collection of short stories,
yes,
an
or
epic.
Essay or yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the 4th one, and the previous ones, I'll just give you a sense of what the titles are. So we have, the first one was called Fragilidad del Presente, the present's fragility. The second one was called La Batalla Futura, the future battle. The third one, in Kurimanzutto, in Mexico City, was Hay que entrar para salir. To leave, you have to enter. And this one is Notes on the Dead House, the Fire, and the Tale. So I would like to begin with that. What is it that that this frame of chapters along the story of the man who should be dead, what is that doing for you?
First of all, I want to say thank you, the gallery, thank you, Jose and Monica and all the team of the gallery here in New York, in Mexico City. It's my family, the gallery is my family. Many of the artists in the gallery are my friends for a long time. It's part of my family. And thank you, Monica, for sharing the conversation. And thank you for coming. I love the books. I love read a lot. I think it's my first love was the books more than the plastic or the visual arts, because in my house, when I was a child, my father buy a lot of Mexican comics, and I see the visual, but I'm more than that is I interested in the read the comics. And when I start this series of new drawings, I start in the 2017, this series of drawings. I think in the concept frame to like a novel or like a history or short history, and knowing the graphic more in the conceptual, and that's the reason I put these subtitles in the show, the drawings. In the Museo in Cabañas in Guadalajara, I started with this idea more precise, more in this way, subtitles for the show, the drawings. And was because I have this connection with the literature all my life. That's the principal reason, I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this connection with literature shows in many different ways. I mean, of course, you riff off of comics and that tradition, tabloid magazines like La Nota Roja, but then also high literature, So we might find a quote by, I don't know, Nietzsche or Roberto Bolaño or Borges in your drawings. So that's a subject that is deeply fascinating to me, and we will get into that in a minute. But I'm very interested in the fact that this particular exhibition, or this series of exhibitions, displays this relationship to literature in the title and the subtitles, but there is no language, with a few exceptions. There's no language in these. So how did you come to this way of approaching the material, which is drawing, by the way, and we will talk about that too. These are not paintings, they're drawings, but they're uncharacteristic for you because the language is missing.
Yes, it's all work.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a new challenge. No use the word, no to use the text. And that's the decision. It was I need to go a new challenge in my work. And in this case, I don't put this text in the inside of the drawing. But in the new structures, in the water structures, you have to both sides of the pieces. In what side you have this text or some reference about the writers or whatever I use or read, and I put it in a part of these structures. But also it's for a new challenge in my work to not use the text and only images, only the color on the compositions.
And what do you think? Did you feel a little uncomfortable by exploring this new approach?
No, I think it's like open doors to my mind. The way I work with in the past, I take the text and the image in the same time, and I work more in this expressivity, in this emotional, and in this. I don't know, it's something like emotional when I draw and I put text on the drawings. In this case, I take time and think in more completely feel in peace with me. I no use text, I no use nothing about the word, and only images, because I change in my interior. It's like I grow up more older now. And I feel different. I feel in this necessity to be quiet and to be peaceful with myself. And I think it's nice to to not use text in this moment. But also it's important in the title of the series. For me, this is the frame, completely frame.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, of course, the man who should be dead. It's interesting because if we think about the relationship to scenes and publications, and even like this is a perfect example, right? Like you have an allusion there to Kiss, Thieves Like Us, New York Groove, Trance Area. This is a connection I'm making right now. I hadn't really thought about it much, but it makes sense to think in relationship to maturity that the text for you, one of the ways in which it worked in the past with the drawings was to signal or mark those things that you are in dialogue with. It's a form of triangulation, right? And so if you're listening to Kiss or you're listening to heavy metal, you leave a record of that experience in the drawing. And you're also marking your interests, your affinities. It's a form of leaving a trace of your elective affinities. And to let that go is to face yourself without the, sin el andamio, no? Without the, without the, what's the word for andamio? Scaffolding, exactly. Like, yeah, do you think that, does that ring true, maybe?
I think when I used in the past all this connection with music, because the music is another part of my love, I have this necessity to take note of this moment. When I draw, I put the phrases or the text and the draw in the same time. It's like to take note of this moment in my life, no? And in the other mediums I use in the past, it's the same. I have this necessity to go in this control of this emotional, this time of my life, and take note of that. And that's the reason I use this expressionist way to look of the old drawings, this black and white and very heavy metal or something like that. In this moment, it's okay. I let it go, and it's a new thing in my feeling.
That's so interesting because I all of a sudden realize that I do that too. Sometimes if I'm writing a poem and I don't know where to go next, or if I don't know how to end it or whatever, there's times in which I listen to music while I write and times in which I can't listen to music at all. But once I'm listening to music and I'm in a groove, to speak of the New York groove, then all of a sudden the lyrics of the music, the lyrics of the song start speaking to me, and sometimes the answer to the question is in the lyrics. So I'll just go like, I would wish you a happy birthday, but you're evil and you lied. That's the Smith song, and I have it in a poem about President's Day, so it makes perfect sense, because presidents lie. It was really, really good. But so if you look for you could look at all those traces, so I do the same thing you do, but I didn't know it until now.
Yes, yeah. I'm using the same. Now I stop music when I work. I don't hear music no more. I prefer the silence. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. This or maybe different music, and I love Brian Eno music, and I use it for working. The repetition, and you can see in the new drawings there's characters and figures as symbols repeat, and this is in this repetition to try to be in this long dialogue with myself, with my feeling, the information I have, the feeling. And this is important now. I stop the lyrics. No lyrics in the music. It's only the music in this moment.
Fascinating.
Yes.
That I wasn't expecting either. Very, very interesting. Repetition is something that I think about a lot too. And I was thinking in terms of this particular body of work, it seems like one of the ways in which we know that you're working with narrative, even though there's really it's a very fragmented, very open-ended narrative, but one of the ways in which we know that that's at play is because you do repeat consistently. There's a consistent cast of characters that you arrive at. And these characters come from a variety of different sources. They're often very stylized, right? They're deformed in the process of bringing them into your universe. And another factor that I think is important is the relationship between repetition and that type of appropriation and drawing, right? Because drawing, there's something so provisional about drawing, so much about the thought process, about repeating, approaching something that you never quite get. Can you talk about that?
Yes. When I start to in a new draw, I make a sketch, general sketches, and I work in 3 to 2 different drawings in the same time, and try to be in. I have a clear objective in general in composition of the one of the drawings, and then go to the next and try to move different things in the narrative of the drawings. But that is the last opportunity to work with this repetition, with the error, with the no good skills to construction something in the draw, and this is the last opportunity. When I put the color in that moment in the draw, I don't have maybe I have failed. I make mistakes in the draw, but it's different. For me, it's the clear opportunity to go with this the final drawing, you know. Behind us that I have sketches and repetitions, and it's the more classical style of the people work in the art, the painters and the sculptors. They make sketches and that. But for me, it's no. Well, that's just the way I work with the new drawings.
Can we talk a little bit about your characters? So there's ornamental motifs that you can see, for instance, right in that big piece there, in that wooden structure. You have the helmet and the flints. And those flints, you wouldn't, I mean, once you start noticing them, they're everywhere. And they're the tip of tecpatls, which are the stones or flints with which human sacrifices were conducted by the Aztecs. And the helmet is a variation of the morrión that was used by conquistadores, no? And that appears everywhere. Sometimes it appears as the helmet of Darth Vader.
Yes.
On my way here, I almost bumped into a person wearing a Darth Vader t-shirt. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good.
The force is with you.
The force is with you, yes. And then the pre-Hispanic goddesses and gods. Can you tell us, about your repertoire?
Yes, I start working with the helmet with this conquistador, Spanish conquistador, and then I made a few drawings and start. No, I prefer take the helmet of Darth Vader, because when I was a child, I loved the saga of the Star Wars. I saw it with my father in the cinemas in Mexico. My father was lover of the sagas of the films like James Bond. I very young, and my father take me to the cinema to see the James Bond's movies. He loves Sean Connery, and I love it. And I love it here. And I see all the movies of the James Bond with my father, and my uncles. They are very love the films, and the Planet of the Apes and the Stanley Kubrick. Well, I prefer to retake the helmet of the Darth Vader for the meaning of this the father. You know, the father, the black destiny and that kind of stuff. And the knives of the sacrificial Aztec knives is I think I love Philip Guston painter. And when I start drawing this symbol of the Aztec, I remember the way he used similar figures in the last painting of the Philip Guston. You know, with these motifs like
Shoes,
zapatos or whatever, and it's the same. I say, when I take this motif and I repeat and change this emotional or this symbolic piece of Aztec history and use it in a new way for me, in a new, different way in the way I work with this.
Yeah, even that one too also reminds me of another element of Guston, which appears in your work, like this these
color.
faces, well, the
Uh-huh.
color, yeah, right, the faces
Yes.
that are coming from body parts. So like the Nixon drawings, I don't know if you remember yeah, those Nixon drawings of his face
Sí.
is made of a scrotum, and it keeps reappearing, and you're doing the same thing to a degree,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So, okay, what about color and space in these works? Because one thing that we both noticed also and is that there is a relationship between poetry, for instance, which often occurs in an abstract space, right? A poem is a lot like a drawing in the sense that the poem, we don't know where it's occurring. It's floating. It's just floating, and someone's speaking, and you don't know where you are. And most of your drawings work that way your previous body of work. But here, in this series, is the first series that you've actually, in which you've actually created interiors. So all of them are working on that spatial level, and then there's color, but no language, as we said. So can you tell us a little bit about those interiors and the relationship to color and palette?
Yes, I sought to build a more recognizable and livable space for the characters. I tried to put in the interiors like a house or something like that. In the beginning of the new series of drawings in this format, the squares. I think I need put an interior of the house or something like that, a room, and a building a table with objects in the table and that narrative. Very simple narrative, but for me very important because in the past all the characters or symbols floating in the space and different like I say in el éter, in the ether or something like that. But in this moment I need a change. I need to put inside on something like a house or room or something like that.
Right, but in many instances also you had a house, and so it seems like the house, the motif of the house that also repeats. Here we're inside the house, but in previous iterations of the series, you had the house itself, sometimes deformed, sometimes with a umbilical cord hanging from it. So tell us about that house, because that house also here is in the title, right?
Yes. The death house for me is the past of my country. I think the house is Mexico for me, completely the country. And this is my house, the territory, the city where I live, Guadalajara, my colony, my neighborhood. And the history of the Mexico, contemporary Mexico, is very violent. Narcotraffic, people disappear, people secuestrados.
Sí. Kidnappings.
Kidnapping, sorry. And I think I want to make this interior of the house like they use this word is casas de seguridad in the narcotraffic. They put people in the houses, security houses, they say, because it's where the people go to torture and donde va la gente que lo torturen o llevan a la gente a que la torturen.
Pero se protegen en la casa.
Son casas de seguridad donde se guarda la droga, donde se guarda el dinero.
Sí, lockbox,
Sí.
lockbox where you would hide the things that they might be after.
Sí. Symbolical, this is for me. This is this history in my head, in my emotion, to this necessity to try to build this interior with this story behind. That's the idea. The first approach to that.
That's fascinating, because there seems to be some regularity to the things from the outside world that you refract into your vocabulary and into your universe, but some of it stays out. O sea, hay cosas que dejas afuera, ¿no? Mucho se refracta, se filtra, y otro se queda afuera. And how do you choose what to bring in and what to leave out?
The moment. I think I work in the moment. I have all the information, all the feeling, all these sensations, and you need to take the decisions in the moment when you work. Put out something or put inside something, and for me it's a process. I see all this drawing like a long process to still working in the future. It's a process for me, a long process.
Right.
in this moment, it's only the end of the something, the end of this narrative for the moment. And I think in the future, maybe I change the way I work with all these issues, personal issues. And this universe, I open the door.
So this is really the last chapter.
For the moment.
Do you think the house is on fire? Meaning, are you setting fire to it? Is the man who should be dead now really going to be dead?
No.
No. He'll come back.
It's investigation. It's not like this detective looking for this man who should be dead.
Right.
Yes, one of these men should be dead is me. It's my personal, inside of the work. And maybe it's something in the future. I see the face of the man who should be dead. I don't know.
Right, because maybe the soul is floating somewhere and
Sí.
it will va a resucitar en otro cuerpo.
En otra vida.
En otra vida. Yes, it will come back in a different guise. Yeah, I'm looking at that painting over there with the fire. It's like a volcano erupting.
The volcano, yeah.
And you've mentioned your interest in Dr. Atl and that reference to a volcano in Mexico, in Morelia, in the state of Morelia. It was called the Paricutin. And it first appeared out of the blue in 1943. There was a farmer who got up in the morning, went to tend to his crops, and all of a sudden a volcano had appeared. Literally, it's true. From out of the blue, like poop, there it is. And then it erupted and it became like this huge symbol of the power of nature and Mexicanness to a degree. So a lot of painters were fascinated by this, and Dr. Atl he was a volcanologist, and he actually lost a leg studying this volcano. But he has wonderful paintings and drawings of this phenomenon, the Paricutin. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Atl and volcanoes erupting and fire.
Well, the volcano is a symbol of many things, no? Destruction, the power of the nature. And you know, I love the books, and I read this book of the Under the Volcano. It's very important. And also I have a fascination for the face of the Dr. Atl. Dr. Atl have a beautiful face, like a crazy doctor, like a mad doctor, you know, you see the photographs. And he used a pipe all the time. He's with the pipe, and for me the pipe is like of the volcano, and the way is the thinking of the Dr. Atl is this the smoke of the pipe and the ashes of the cigarette of the tobacco, the tobacco, and it's only in that way. It's like it's like a character for the fascination of this thing of the volcano and the destruction and the man like a crazy god in the middle of the creation or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Also a fascinating figure because he was very close to.
And it's funny, pero no te lo voy a decir en español, que me fascina Orozco y es un manco y y el Dr. Atl es un cojo.
Yeah. I was going to bring up the muralists in a very boring way. You just brought them up in a very interesting way. So what he said is that two of his favorite artists, Dr. Atl was missing a leg, and José Clemente Orozco was missing a hand. Yes.
And he lost his hand for explosion.
What
I
was
think
it?
so. No, for the train. When I don't read this, for explosion. No. Chemistry. Yeah. When I was a child. Yeah.
When he was a child. Sí. Let's see, how are we doing with time? Okay, we have time. Yeah, but I mean, interesting to think about them in relation to muralism, right? Because El Dr. Atl was not a muralist, even though he was friends with everybody. He was part of that generation. His landscapes are super expressive, very emotional. And I also feel, given, we haven't really spoken about the format of these, but given that they happen to appear as walls, right? They immediately make one think that they have a relationship to muralism.
For me, no.
Not for you, okay.
Yeah. No, I don't like the use of this mural is way to this scale or this big or whatever. I love see the murals. I love this. It's fascinating to see the walls and especially José Clemente Orozco in Museo Cabañas. For me, I see this structure more like displays or like billboards or something like this connection with the street information. And I have this necessity to put these structures in the middle of the space, put out of the bidimensional drawings, and have the opportunity to go around of the structure, living with my body inside and out of the space, and only see these big paintings or something like that, educational or whatever.
Right, yes.
But
yes,
this is my experience with that.
Yeah,
I don't see me in the future painting murals or that stuff.
I don't either.
I don't think so.
I don't see you either. But maybe what I'm saying, I mean, I agree, I completely see that in the work, but it does, in a way, just seem like a critique of it almost. Sorry? That these works seem like a critique of the monumental impulse behind muralism, and also your way of utilizing and recycling and transforming, distorting Mexican symbols to show like this other side of that project of Mexicanness, no? O sea, or am I wrong to read a critique of that impulse in the work?
When I do my work, I'm the artist, but in the same time, I'm the citizen of the country. I see myself like one citizen is standing in the studio working, and I have a lot of feelings, a lot of sensations, and try to mix this condition, the citizen, the artist, in the same time. I love this. I love the history of Mexico, and also I have this distance with many things, and it's a problematic. No, you know, in the everyday of life, it's a problematic. Go out to the country, and for me, my work is the expression of this disagree with many things, with myself and the context of the Mexico, of the city where I live in Guadalajara. And that's the way I use all this situation.
Right. Tell us about your experience of place. You were born, tu relación con el lugar. O sea, you were born in Oaxaca.
I born in Mexico City, but I grew up in the same time in Oaxaca, for my mother was from Oaxaca. Yeah.
Did you ever live in Oaxaca?
In the town of my mother, in the small town in Oaxaca. Yeah.
Okay. Mexico City, you lived in New York, and now you live in Guadalajara.
I live in Guadalajara.
And so, I want to know if place, the specificities of place ever make it to the work. Like I know that when you had a show in Oaxaca, a lot of the work that you were doing had to do with your Oaxacan roots.
For my mother.
Exactly, yeah. And then in Guadalajara, when you've shown there, you reference part of the local guerrillas, for instance, no? La Liga 23 de Septiembre, like it's a way in which the history of the place makes it into the camp, into the space of the drawings. So, what have you noticed when you were in New York, for instance? How did New York impact your drawings? How does Mexico City differ from Guadalajara?
For me, when the first time I come to New York not to show my work, I had the experience to see the work of the Mike Kelly, Paul McCarthy. And for me, it was completely changed my idea about the art. Not contemporary, because in that time I don't think in contemporary, whatever, in modern. For me, it was a shock. And I see the both pieces of McCarthy and Michaeli and say, wow, this is rock and roll. This is, you can do rock and roll with this art. And I love it, and for me that's the influence for a long time in my work. But I don't think in the context, well, maybe you don't have this consciousness to when you work in a place, in a city, different city, but you change the way you use your body or the language or the food you eat or something, and all these things go to directly to your work. But I love live in Mexico. I don't see me in living in another city. I love Mexico. I love to stay there.
That and back, speaking of rock and roll, was that in Oaxaca? Can you tell us about that piece? Because I'm very curious about your relationship to sculpture. Your sculptures, the relationship between your drawings and your sculptures.
But in this moment, I don't see any relation with these drawings with the sculpture I do before in the past.
Yeah.
I only put these images, for example, to show some examples of the old work of I did, and this is one of these. I showed this in a gallery here in New York, 2011, I think so, 2009. I don't remember. Gallery Harris Lieberman, and it's very important. The title of the show was El Sol de México.
Mexican Sun, the
Mexican
name of a
Sun.
newspaper.
It's like a newspaper. Yeah, and I think this maybe have relation with this very simple structure. Está hecha con carrizos. I don't know how.
It's reeds.
Well, it's a small scale. But I remember I do this, and the new have some relation with this some space,
Right.
different approach to constructor something. I don't know. It's only a reference in my work.
Right. Rock and roll also makes me think about the work of yours in the zine show at the Brooklyn Museum. Can we talk a little bit about Casper? So Casper was an artist-run publication founded by you, Damián Ortega, and Luis Felipe Ortega, right? And every issue had a variation of, it was like a palindrome of or an anagram of the word Casper. So Casper was the first issue, then it became Asperg, Percas. Yeah. How many issues? Was it 13?
11.
11.
I think so. I think so, 11.
I collaborated.
12, maybe.
12.
12.
I remember sending a collaboration. I published something there, but I can't remember what. I think it was a psychological test, a quiz.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in my archives and I couldn't find them. Tell us about your interest in artist publications and Casper. And I really encourage those who don't know Daniel's artist publications to take a look at them because they're absolutely incredible. We can do a little demonstration, or he will.
These are the new ones.
Those are the new ones. Okay, let's talk about that. And Casper and all your interest in artist publications.
For my love for these comic and the magazines, I saw when I was young, rock and roll magazines and fanzines from punk era or the Mexican magazine from punk, and I love this cheap paper and publications about no fiction, narratives, poetry, more than this conventional art catalog. I put my personal drawings in the middle of the section of this magazine, and I choose I put in an invitation for writers and poets and to make short stories about the man who should be dead, and I put together in this new edition of magazines.
You mentioned when we spoke the other day on the phone that the format was taken from Duda, no?
Duda, yeah.
A little magazine called Duda, which was about paranormal activities and paranormal phenomenons. Yeah, so this is one of them, and of course, like you have your drawings here with text, right?
Yes.
But this text here, for instance, I'm very interested in what it is. So this one begins, nací 5 días después del golpe militar el 16 de septiembre de 1973, dice Claudia, en una especie de estallido.
Es una novela from a Chilean writer.
Okay, who?
In this moment is Zambra,
okay.
Alejandro Zambra.
Alejandro Zambra.
Sí.
I see. It's from Bonsai or... something. Yeah, that's fascinating. I for a moment, I mean, I knew that it wasn't yours because you're not Chilean,
No.
but I couldn't, you totally decontextualize it and you bring it into the space of your drawing so it becomes something else.
And for me, this is the parallel narrative for the drawings.
Uh-huh.
This is the way I use the text and the word inside of my work, like a diary, like take notes on my book and on my notebook, and this is the way I show this record of the process of the narrative of the man who should be dead.
So this occurred before the
In the
I
same
see.
time,
back and forth.
yeah.
Back and forth, cool. Okay, I'll just give you a little example of more language in Daniel's because, okay, so you find Alejandro Zambra, but for instance, in this wonderful book called Chromosome Damage, you have this drawing here. Let me see if you can see it. Does everybody see it? Okay, it's very scary. I'll just say that. And then you say, Caballero, ¿puedo proponerle mis servicios sin correr el riesgo de parecer inoportuno? And inoportuno is underlined. So, gentlemen, can I propose my services, or can I offer you my services without running the risk of seeming inopportune? Where did that come from?
Albert Camus.
Ah,
Ajá,
okay.
The fall.
In which one?
The fall,
The
la
fa-
caída,
Uh-huh.
the fall.
Okay, I see.
And when I start the series of drawings,
Uh-huh.
I relay.
I reread.
I read,
Uh-huh.
again, the nausea and the fall and el extranjero, Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
and you were quoting. So those
Yeah,
are the
but it's
quotes.
just in the beginning of the
Yes.
series of drawing, I put phrases in the drawings.
I see, and it says AC, so one wouldn't necessarily know. And do you ever write your own text?
Yes, I write, but
Yeah.
it's not good.
Ah.
I don't care. I don't
Not
care.
true. Don't believe a
No.
word he says. Not true.
No, I learned to my friends, my artist friends, they write very good. Abraham Cruz Villegas, Eduardo Baroa, Gabriel Curi, Luis Felipe Ortega, and that's why my school. I saw these friends writing, talking about his work, and take the responsibility to be clear with what you're doing, not only the visual, all the concept, all the ideas. And for me, that's my school.
Claro.
And I tried in my very humble way to work in that way when I write something about my work.
Right.
O si alguien me pide alguien que le escribo algo a mis amigos.
Claro. That seems very consistent with your ethos, and this will be the last question I ask, so if you have questions, start thinking about them now. The very interesting relationship to skill, no? Like, I wouldn't say that your work is about de-skilling, because obviously you're a very skilled draftsman, but there's many things that you engage in that do not require skills. Like, for instance, well, you said writing, or your approach to writing as someone who responds to it, but you're not a writer. And music, Los Pellejos. Wonderful band, artist band called Los Pellejos, which unfortunately went on hiatus, right?
Sorry?
Ya dejó de existir, ¿no? Los Pellejos.
Sí.
They disbanded. Is anybody there a trained musician? No.
Just one. Sí.
Just one.
The
Who?
guitarist.
Ah.
Sí.
Great band.
Yeah.
Mariano Villalobos.
Nacho Perales.
Sí. Eduardo Baroa.
Eduardo Baroa in the beginning, pero.
Yeah. Right. We wanted to maybe think about give you an example of some clips of Los Pellejos, but are you on Spotify? No.
Sorry, ¿qué?
Que si Los Pellejos se encuentran en Spotify o en dónde?
No, in the YouTube. Well, I think so, in
YouTube.
the Spotify. Yes, I think so. Yes, one record. Yes, it's in video in the YouTube. The video.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
The pellejos, old skin. I don't know what is in English.
Pellejo is like hanging skin, loose skin. It's a very ugly word. Because you can also, when you get old, you become a pellejo, no?
Todos
You're just like your skin is hanging from
Todos
you.
seremos pellejos en el futuro.
¿Eh?
Todos seremos pellejos en el futuro.
We will all be pellejos in the future. Tell us a little bit about Los Pellejos and your that very practical relationship to rock and roll? Because you made rock and roll.
It's a necessity to be in front of the experience of the music. I am no professional musician, but I love to play and make noise and that kind. It's only to be in front of this noisy band, rock and roll, very basic. And that's the idea, to have the experience in your life. I love this punk attitude or whatever, but I was loving the heavy metal bands like Van Halen or whatever. But in the same time, I love the Iggy and the Stooges, MC5, this completely different attitude. It is only this, to take the experience to make rock and roll. That's all. No, nothing more like that.
Okay. So if you probably saw a list of records that he wanted to buy. That's when you were.
It was the first page. I write this list of the records when I was in the high school or maybe in the preparatoria. When you say in the preparatoria? Like
in high school.
I made this list of the. You can see a completely different music. Sex Pistols, Residents, Talking Head, Police. It's like a
Residents.
Resident.
Ooh, they're good. Really good. Eyeball, no? Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Did you buy them? Did you buy the records?
I buy
Good.
a lot of records.
Good,
yeah.
good, good. Okay. So we're ready for questions.
Yeah.
Just to ask, you take a lot of inspiration from your past and from things that you know and writers that have given you some great inspiration. What will be your motivation for the next chapter?
The unexpected, the future is no writing, like say this, the Clash, the band, the punk band. In the last record, they say, el futuro está sin escribirse.
Yeah.
The future is open. It's a mystery.
No, right.
It hasn't been written.
Sí, está
Yeah.
claro.
Combat rock.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I would like to know a little more about how long take you to develop this body of work, probably particularly this chapter or the whole 4 chapters, and how do you relate your process with the idea of freedom, how you relate the drawing with the idea of freedom and your ideas.
Take me, I think, 4 years when I started the drawing series. In the moment I have this opportunity to show in the Cabañas Museum, I understand all the process to this moment, before 1 year before the opening of the Cabañas, changed completely. I put the color in the front of the series, the new drawings, in that moment, and completely 4 years. I saw the previous material like only the process to understand what I want to do, how you use all the characters, the color, the composition. And for me, I saw this people say it's like a painting, but I saw like a drawing. For me, freedom is make drawings and painting is different. I prefer make drawings than paintings. It's only my condition, the way I feel. I think more like a drawing.
So
with
you
freedom.
You do feel more freedom as a. Is what is it about drawing that draws you?
See, I think the fragility, the immediately of this, the precarity of the.
See.
In the past, I used a lot of paper, very cheap, very popular. I buy it in the stocks where they buy tortillas.
Claro, el papel estraza, it's like a form of craft paper, no? All these drawings in this book.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that paper with which they wrap tortillas and other
Sí.
food products. Mhm.
And that's this that is completely natural for me. Take this paper and make some immediately. Or that's the idea.
Was that was the studio in Tribeca?
That's the studio. Yes, was in New York in the
Yeah.
in the residency.
Yeah.
And you can see it's color.
Yes, a lot of color.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a question over there.
Why no?
Why color? I know you work for a long time, but it's fascinated. But also, why you decide to go to color when you were also with your drawings?
to prove my skills, my challenge. No, it's like put a problem in front of me. They say when you put the color, it's a problematic for the construction of the narrative, for many reasons. It's like a problematic. That's only because I wanna have problem in front of me. There's like it's necessity to have this opportunity to say something different with the color. That's the only idea.
Interesting, because like
Well, it's one of the ideas.
you're talking about freedom, and then you're also creating problems, and that's something that very much
Well,
resonates
I
with
say
me.
problem in the good way. It's like
Yeah.
you have a problem in the life, or the necessity to have money for living or whatever. It's like this is a real problem in the real life. It's only in this condition of the mind to have a confronting.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the creative
capacity
process
to
as a form of solving a problem, a formal problem perhaps, right? But it's on the one hand liberating and freeing, and on the other hand you need that problem solving to contain the impulse, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.